Here are proofs that the Holy Knight, specifically Gunko, really knows Brook in the past. There are also theories that Brook is a former Holy Knight, and some say that Brook is Gunko's father. So here is the proof for all this information. One Piece. Chapter 1149 didn't exactly give us the answers we were hoping for. In fact, it kind of left us with even more questions. The first half of the chapter zoomed in completely on Scopper Gaban, who was absolutely going off. He took down Shepherd Summers with ease and was on a mission to free the kids trapped by Gunko. You could really feel his confidence. He was so sure he could take down this Holy Knight and save his son. But of course, in classic Oda fashion, things didn't go as planned. Thanks to a major slip-up by Colin, Gunko figured out the truth, that he was actually Gaban's son. And once she knew, she didn't hesitate. She grabbed Colin and used him as leverage, basically forcing Gaban into a corner. With no other option, Gaban gave in. And just like that, the moment he surrendered, Gunko let loose, hitting him with a barrage of arrows without a second thought. Now, this next part, this is where the chapter really hit different. Probably the most interesting and emotional panel we've seen in a while. Just as Gaban collapsed, arrows sticking out of him, we see Colin completely break down. The kid starts screaming, raw emotion, and somehow his cries echo through Gunko's mind. And then it happens. She starts remembering something buried deep. We get a flashback. It's quick but powerful. Gunko's younger self is seen shouting, desperately calling out for her father. Then, in another panel, we catch her holding the hand of someone with a very familiar laugh. That classic yo ho ho ho. Yeah, it's the same laugh as Brook. And just when it looks like she's about to reunite with him, Gunko is seen running toward Brook. Boom. Imu takes control of her body. Just like that, before they could even meet again. Even though Oda gave us just a few panels, it's pretty clear something's up. Gunko and Brook definitely have a past. Whether it's family, allies, or something else entirely, their connection is real. And the way it's framed, it heavily hints that Brook might have been something way more than just a rock star skeleton. Possibly a former Holy Knight, or even someone with noble lineage? Okay, now let's break this down, because this connection between Brook and the Holy Knights might sound wild, but there's actually some legit reasoning behind it. Let's rewind a bit and talk about Brook's background, because the dude didn't just randomly become famous, he's been special for a long time. Back in the day, Brook was part of the Rumbar Pirates, a crew known not just for their strength, but for their music. Brook wasn't just a member, he was a leader. And after that tragic incident that wiped out the crew, Brook ended up surviving thanks to the power of the Revive fruit. Fast forward decades later, during the time the Straw Hats got separated by Kuma, Brook landed in a pretty wild spot. He ended up captured by the Long Arm tribe. And in true Brook fashion, he didn't just sit around. He turned the situation into a performance. He dropped a brand new song in front of the Long Arms and boom, his music career took off. By the time the time skip ended, Brook had gone full celebrity mode. The dude became the Soul King, a literal global icon. Think One Piece's version of Michael Jackson. His concerts were so lit, people would pass out just from hearing him. And yeah, that kind of fame, it didn't go unnoticed. Even nobles, including the God's Knights, probably had his name on their radar. In fact, his rise was so insane that Frankie even questioned if Brook still wanted to be part of the crew. That's how big he got. If it weren't for his managers exposing him, he could have easily dominated the music world even more, and maybe even started influencing things in the world of the elite. So now you might be wondering, how does this tie into the Holy Knights? Well, that's where it gets interesting. But before we dive into that crucial piece of evidence, let's quickly go over who the Holy Knights are and why they matter. Once you understand their role, the Brook connection becomes even more believable. Alright, so here's where things start to connect in a way that only Oda could pull off. Let's talk about the God's Knights for a second. These guys are the absolute top-tier protectors of Mary Joa with the stronghold of the Celestial Dragons, the very heart of the world government. Basically, if the world had a VIP security list, they'd be guarding the penthouse. Now, here's where it gets good. Ever since Luffy became a Yonko, the Straw Hats' names have been echoing all across the Grand Line and beyond. But here's the kicker. The fact that Brook, specifically, is recognized by the God's Knights, that says a lot. I mean, think about it. These aren't the type of people who just keep up with pop culture, but even they couldn't ignore the Soul King. This moment right here passively tells us something powerful. Music and culture in One Piece aren't bound by class or military rank. Even the most elite, even the ones who look down on the rest of the world, still feel the influence of someone like Brook. And the proof? Gunko herself, demanding that Brook become her personal musician. And when he turns her down, she gets low-key pissed. That's a diva moment. And it's a peek behind the curtain showing just how deeply Brook's music has penetrated even the most closed-off circles in the One Piece world. It's even possible his music plays regularly in the grand halls of Mary Joa. Like how no one can escape Morgan's headlines, it seems the elite can't escape the reach of good music either. Oda's been sprinkling this idea across the series for a while. That culture, especially music, has a unique power. It connects people in a way that politics and power never could. And the famous song in One Piece, Binks Sake, is a pirate anthem that became a symbol of freedom, adventure, and legacy. Without the rhythm of drums and songs, the history of Skypiea might have stayed buried forever. And yeah, Uta might not be canon, but her voice brought people together in a way no army could. But here's another thing, Brook takes that concept and levels it up. His music entertains and moves people, literally and emotionally. It's that kind of soul-touching performance that got fans so dedicated, they held off the freaking Marines just to hear one final song. That's wild. So it's really no surprise that his influence managed to seep into the most guarded, prideful place in the world. Brook didn't have to fight his way in. His music did the job. And that makes him dangerous in a way no bounty ever could. Culture spreads, culture sticks, and in One Piece, culture changes things. And here's where we bring it full circle. When a God's Knight notices a Straw Hat, not because of their strength, not because of their crimes, but because of their music, that's huge. That tells us their influence is way bigger than even they realize. It's global, it's generational. So with the final saga heating up and the story heading into its most unpredictable phase yet, don't be surprised if Brook's music ends up playing a major role in what's coming. Not every legacy is built with swords and battles. Some, like Brook's, get passed down in the form of songs that people will sing long after the fighting is over. And if that ain't legacy, I don't know what is. So based on everything we've seen so far, it's starting to feel pretty clear that Brook and Gunko have some deep history. There's real emotion there, more than just a one-time encounter. When Gunko screamed out for her father during that flashback, a lot of fans jumped straight to the conclusion that Brook might actually be her dad. But hold up, let's not get too carried away just yet. Sure, it's tempting to think that Brook could be her father, especially with the emotional weight in that scene. But looking closely, that theory doesn't hold up super well. The vibe between Brook and young Gunko feels more like old friends, maybe even childhood companions or mentor and student, rather than something paternal. One panel even shows Brook telling a young Gunko that he dreams of becoming a pirate. That doesn't sound like a father giving advice to his daughter. It feels more like someone sharing their dream with a close friend before heading off on a big adventure. And that opens up a whole new question. What exactly was Brook doing before he became a pirate? Remember back in Thriller Bark? Brook told the Straw Hats that he used to be the leader of a group before joining the Rumbar Pirates. He didn't give many details, but what if that group wasn't just some random band or squad? What if he was actually the captain of a royal guard? Or maybe even led a group of knights? If that's the case, it lines up perfectly with Gunko being from that same kingdom. Maybe she was a noble. Maybe she was just a citizen. Either way, if they were both from the same place, it would explain why Gunko has such a strong connection to music. And to him. Brook probably played music for her all the time before he left. And if that music stuck with her throughout her life, it's no wonder she became obsessed with it, maybe even using it as a way to hold on to the past he left behind. That could be why she demanded Brook become her personal musician. It's not just about the performance, it's about reconnecting with something she lost. Now, some fans are still convinced they're family. They swear there are clues hinting that Brook and Gunko are father and daughter. And hey, it's Oda. We can't rule out the possibility entirely. There might still be some shocking twist ahead. But right now, the evidence feels way stronger for them being friends or allies from the same origin, rather than actual family. Until we get more solid info, the safest bet is that Gunko and Brook share a powerful emotional bond rooted in their past, but maybe not one defined by blood. Either way, their connection adds a crazy new layer to Brook's backstory. And honestly, we're here for it. Despite claims about Gunko and Brook being related by blood, there's actually little to no chance of that being true. If Brook had a daughter, he would have mentioned it to the other Straw Hats. After all, he's not the type of person to forget such an important detail. It is likely Brook and Gunko's relationship was similar to Robin and Saul's. Despite not being tied by blood, they likely cared about each other. As previously stated, Gunko's backstory was interrupted by Imu's arrival. The leader of the world government decided to get involved and took over Gunko's body. They revealed that Marijoa was in flames and also expressed dissatisfaction with how the Holy Knights were taking a long time to complete their mission. Imu's arrival means that the country of the Giants will not stand for long. Unlike the Holy Knights, Imu comes off as more impatient and vindictive. They are willing to kill anyone without a second thought, making them more dangerous. In the latest chapter, Imu used their powers, which makes it clear that nobody in One Piece comes close to them. After recruiting Dory and Brogy, Imu ordered the Giants to kill Jarul, who is considered the leader of Elbaf. Considering the number of enemies, it doesn't seem that Jarul is going to survive. However, things could potentially change if the monster trio and Loki return. All of them are incredible fighters, and they just might be able to push back Emu.